I am a creature of habit. I like things to be exactly the same every single day. My name is Sarah. I'm 70 years old. I live alone in a small apartment in the city. My life is quiet. My husband Arthur passed away 3 years ago. Since then, my world has been very small. But I have one ritual. Every afternoon at 4 p.m., I walk to Central Park. I go to the pond. I sit on the third bench under the big willow tree. That was our bench. Arthur proposed to me on that bench 50 years ago. We ate ice cream there every Sunday. When he got sick, I wheeled his wheelchair there so he could watch the ducks. After he died, the bench became my meeting place with him. I would sit there, close my eyes, and talk to him. I would tell him about the weather, my sore hip, and the news. It was my seat. Everyone in the neighborhood knew it. If someone was sitting there, they would see me coming with my cane and my gray coat, and they would politely move, until last Tuesday. I arrived at the park at 3:55 p.m. The sun was shining. I was holding a bag of bread crusts for the ducks. I walked toward the willow tree, and then I stopped. There was a man sitting on my bench. He wasn't one of the regular neighbors. He was young, maybe 25. He was wearing a dirty leather jacket and ripped jeans. His hair was messy. He had headphones on. He was taking up the whole bench, his long legs stretched out in front of him. I felt a flash of irritation. He is in my spot. He is disrupting my time with Arthur. I walked up to him. I tapped my cane on the pavement. Tap, tap. He didn't move. He didn't hear me. I tapped louder. Tap, tap. He opened one eye. He looked at me. He looked at my cane. Then, he closed his eye again. I couldn't believe it. The rudeness. "Excuse me," I said loudly. "Young man." He pulled one headphone off. "Yeah? You are sitting in my seat," I said firmly. He looked around the park. There were other empty benches nearby. "I don't see your name on it," he said. His voice was rough. "I sit here every day," I explained, trying to stay calm. "It is important to me. Please move." He laughed. It wasn't a nice laugh. "Look, lady, I'm tired. It's a free country. Sit somewhere else." He put his headphone back on and ignored me. I stood there shaking with anger. My face turned red. This was my sanctuary. This was where I felt close to my husband. And this rude, selfish boy was stealing it from me. I looked at the empty bench across the path. It was in the sun. It was too hot. It wasn't our bench. I decided I wasn't going to leave. I was stubborn. Arthur always said I was as stubborn as a mule. "Fine," I muttered. I walked to the very edge of the bench. I squeezed myself into the tiny space left beside him. I sat down stiffly, clutching my purse. I was going to wait him out. I was going to make him uncomfortable until he left. But I didn't know that he wasn't leaving. And I didn't know why he was really there. I sat there like a stone statue. My back was straight. I held my purse tight against my chest. I wanted him to feel my anger. I wanted him to feel how unwelcome he was. I looked at him from the corner of my eye. Up close, he looked worse. His leather jacket was peeling. His boots had holes in the soles. His fingernails were bitten down to the skin. Is he dangerous? I thought. Is he on drugs? I checked my watch. 4:20 p.m. Usually by now, I would be telling Arthur about the crossword puzzle I finished. But I couldn't speak to my dead husband with this stranger sitting 2 inches away. The silence stretched. The only sound was the faint thump, thump, thump of the music coming from his headphones. Suddenly, the music stopped. His phone rang. It was an old phone with a screen cracked like a spider web. He answered it. "Yeah?" he said. His voice wasn't tough anymore. It sounded tired. I didn't want to eavesdrop, but I was sitting right next to him. "No, Dad," he said. He closed his eyes. "I can't come home. Not after what you said last night." He listened for a moment. He gripped the phone so hard his knuckles turned white. "It wasn't my fault," he shouted suddenly. I jumped. The pigeons near our feet flew away in a panic. "I tried to stop him," the boy whispered, his voice cracking. I tried, but the car was too fast. My heart skipped a beat. The car? Stopped him? He listened for one more second, then he pulled the phone away from his ear and hung up. He didn't put his headphones back on. He dropped his head into his hands. His shoulders started to shake. He wasn't sleeping. He wasn't ignoring me. He was crying. Great, heavy sobs were coming out of him. It was a raw, ugly sound. It was a sound I knew very well. It was the same sound I made 3 years ago when the doctor told me Arthur was gone. My anger evaporated instantly. The rude punk disappeared. Now, I just saw a child in pain. I looked at him. He was shivering. It wasn't cold outside, but grief makes you cold from the inside. I hesitated. Should I leave? Should I pretend I didn't hear? I remembered what Arthur used to say. Sarah, kindness costs nothing, but it buys everything. I opened my purse. I pulled out a packet of tissues. They were floral scented. I tapped him on the shoulder again. Tap, tap. He looked up violently, like a frightened animal. His eyes were red and swollen. His face was wet with tears. Here, I said, holding out a tissue. He stared at it. He stared at me. He looked confused, like he expected me to hit him with my cane. Take it, I ordered gently. You are making a mess. He took the tissue. He wiped his face. He blew his nose loudly. Thanks, he choked out. You are welcome, I said. I smoothed my skirt. You are very young to be carrying such a heavy burden. He looked down at his worn-out boots. I'm 22. I feel like I'm 100. I am 70, I said. Trust me, you are not 100. I pointed to the empty space on the bench next to me. You said this wasn't my bench, I said softly. But it is. This is where I talked to my husband. He died 3 years ago. The boy's face fell. He looked horrified. Oh, I'm sorry, lady. I didn't know. He started to stand up. I'll go. Sit down, I said. He froze. I don't like eating alone, I said, pulling a second sandwich out of my bag. I always packed 2. One for me and one for the ducks. But today, the ducks would have to wait. My name is Sarah, I said. And if you are going to sit on Arthur's bench, you have to tell me why you are crying. The boy looked at the sandwich. He looked at my face. He sat back down slowly. I'm Leo, he whispered, and I think I killed my best friend. I think I killed my best friend. The words hung in the air like heavy smoke. A jogger ran past us, laughing at a podcast, completely unaware that a young man's world was ending right next to him. I didn't gasp. I didn't judge. When you are 70, you know that life is rarely black and white. Tell me, I said calmly. Leo looked at his hands. They were shaking. His name was Mike. We grew up together. 2 days ago, we were driving home from a concert. It was raining. The road was slick. He took a jagged breath. I was driving. Mike was messing with the radio. He made a joke. I laughed. I looked at him for 1 second. Just 1 second, Sarah. Tears dripped off his nose and onto his leather jacket. The car hydroplaned. We spun. We hit a tree on the passenger side. I walked away with a few scratches. Mike. He couldn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. My dad says it's manslaughter, Leo whispered. He says I was reckless. He kicked me out. He said he can't look at me without seeing a murderer. I looked at this boy. He wasn't a murderer. He was a survivor, and that is a much harder thing to be. He was carrying the weight of the accident and the weight of his father's rejection. I placed my hand on his arm. His jacket was cold, but my hand was warm. Leo, I said, look at me. He raised his red eyes. Did you want to hurt him? I asked. No, he cried. I loved him. He was my brother. Then it was not murder, I said firmly. It was a tragedy. There is a difference. A terrible, heartbreaking difference. But I was driving, he argued. It's my fault. Maybe, I said. Maybe you were going too fast. Maybe you looked away. But Leo, you are punishing yourself for being human. Do you think Mike would want you to sit on a park bench and starve to death? Leo went quiet. He looked at the sandwich in my hand. It was turkey and cheese on rye bread. Arthur's favorite. Mike loved food. Leo smiled faintly through his tears. He could eat 3 pizzas. Then eat this for Mike, I said, handing him the sandwich. He took it. He took a small bite, then a big bite. He hadn't eaten in days. I watched him eat, and I saw a little bit of the color come back to his face. My husband, Arthur, I said, looking at the willow tree. He was a bus driver for 40 years. He was the safest driver I knew. Leo stopped chewing. He listened. One day, 20 years ago, I continued, he hit a dog. It ran into the street. Arthur slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. The dog died. Arthur came home and cried for 2 days. He wanted to quit his job. He felt like a monster. What did you tell him? Leo asked. I told him that his heart was good, I said. I told him that an accident does not erase 40 years of kindness, and I told him that the only way to honor the life that was lost is to live the rest of your life with double the care. Leo looked at the empty sandwich wrapper. I don't know if I can do that, he whispered. I don't know where to go. My dad. Your father is grieving too, I said. He is angry. He's looking for someone to blame because the truth that it was just bad luck is too scary for him. Give him time. But where do I sleep tonight? Leo asked. I have no money. I looked at the sun setting over the city. The park was getting darker. I was a crazy old lady. I knew that. My son in Ohio would scream if he knew what I was thinking. Don't talk to strangers. Don't trust people in leather jackets. But I looked at Leo, and I didn't see a stranger. I saw a boy who needed a grandmother. I stood up. My knees popped. Well, I said, brushing the crumbs off my coat. My couch is not very comfortable, but it is warm, and I have a lot of lasagna in the freezer. Arthur always made me cook too much. Leo's eyes went wide. You? You want me to come with you? You don't even know me. I could be a criminal. I tapped his knee with my cane. You are a boy who cries for his friend and eats turkey sandwiches, I said. I am a good judge of character. Besides, if you try anything, I have this cane, and I know how to use it. Leo looked at me. For the first time, a real smile broke through the sadness. It transformed his face. You're tough, Sarah, he said. I'm from Brooklyn, I replied. Now help me up. My hip is stiff. He offered me his arm. I took it. We walked out of the park together, the old widow and the young outcast. People stared at us. I didn't care. I didn't know then that this was just the beginning. I didn't know that taking Leo home would bring something to my doorstep that I hadn't expected. A second chance at life, and a very angry father. Leo stayed on my couch for 3 days. He was a polite guest. He folded his blankets every morning. He fixed the dripping faucet in my kitchen that had been annoying me for months. He ate my lasagna and told me stories about Mike, how Mike loved to sing but had a terrible voice, how they dreamed of opening a mechanic shop together. For the first time in 3 years, my apartment didn't feel empty, yet don't felt alive. On the 3rd evening, we were drinking tea. Suddenly, there was a loud banging on my door. Bang, bang, bang. Leo froze. His face went pale. It's him, Leo whispered. It's my dad. I turned my phone on for 5 minutes today to check a message. He must have tracked the GPS. The banging continued. Leo, I know you are in there. Open this door. I stood up. Stay here, Leo. I walked to the door. I unlocked the deadbolt and opened it. A large man was standing there. He looked like an older, angrier version of Leo. His eyes were wild. He smelled of old coffee and desperation. Where is he? The man shouted, trying to push past me. I blocked his path with my cane. I am 70, but I am not weak. My name is Sarah, I said calmly. And in this house, we do not shout. We say hello. The man stopped. He looked at me, confused. Who are you? Did he steal from you? Leo, get out here! Leo walked into the hallway. He looked small. He looked like a little boy waiting to be punished. Dad, Leo said softly. I'm sorry. Sorry? The father roared. His face turned purple. You ran away. You coward. You killed your best friend, and then you ran away to hide with this old woman. He stepped forward, raising his hand. He wasn't going to hit Leo, but he was pointing his finger aggressively. Stop, I said. My voice was low, but it cut through the air like a knife. I stepped between them. I looked up at the angry father. Sir, I said, you are in pain. I know that pain. I lost my husband. It feels like your heart has been ripped out. The father's lip trembled. You don't know anything. Mike was like a son to me, and this idiot killed him. It was an accident, I said. But what you are doing now? This is not an accident. This is a choice. I took a step closer. You have already lost one son to the road, I said. Do you want to lose the other one to your anger? The father blinked. What? Leo is alive, I said, pointing to the boy who was crying silently behind me. He is breathing. He is here. He loves you. If you push him away now, you will lose him forever. And when you wake up in 10 years, alone in a quiet house, you will realize that is a tragedy you could have prevented. The hallway went silent. The father looked at me. Then he looked at Leo. He looked at Leo's worn-out boots. He looked at the tears on his cheeks. He saw the guilt that was already eating his son alive. The anger drained out of the man's face. His shoulders slumped. He didn't look like a monster anymore. He just looked like a broken father. I miss him, Leo, the dad choked out. I miss Mike so much. I miss him too, Dad, Leo sobbed. The father took a shaky step forward. He opened his arms. Leo ran into them. They hugged right there in my doorway. 2 grown men, crying and holding each other. It wasn't a pretty hug. It was messy and desperate, but it was the start of healing. I watched them, and I touched the locket around my neck with Arthur's picture in it. You were right, Arthur, I thought. Kindness buys everything. Leo went home with his father that night. My apartment was quiet again, but it wasn't lonely. A week later, I went to the park. It was 4 p.m. I walked to the willow tree. There was someone on my bench. It was Leo. He was wearing a clean shirt. His hair was combed. He was holding a large bouquet of purple flowers. He stood up when he saw me. Sarah, he smiled. I was waiting for you. These are for you. He handed me the flowers. They were beautiful. My dad is doing better, he said. We are going to therapy together, and I applied for mechanic school. I'm going to open that shop. I'm going to name it Mike's Garage. I smiled. That is a wonderful name. And, Leo added, I fixed your bench. I looked down. He had sanded the rough wood. He had tightened the loose screws. And on the back of the bench, right next to where I always sat, he had carved a tiny, perfect heart. So you never have to sit alone, he said. I sat down. Leo sat next to me, not crowding me, but close enough to be a friend. We watched the ducks. We talked about cars. We talked about Arthur. My name is Sarah. I used to think my life was over because my husband was gone. But I learned that as long as you have an empty seat beside you, there is always room for a new story. I was a stranger who shared a bench. Now, I am a grandmother to a boy who needed one, and my heart is full. If this story about grief, forgiveness, and the kindness of strangers touched your heart, please give this video a like. Have you ever had a chance encounter with a stranger that changed your day? Share your story in the comments below. For more emotional English stories about hope and connection, please be sure to follow our channel.